Captain Graham is dealing with the audio difficulties that the YouTube stream seems to be having. So let's go for 6s. Stations figure 6 and their call sign, please go ahead, over.
Good afternoon, this is Golf 6 Papa Delta Echo. Chris, in and out please, Greg.
Papa Delta Echo, good afternoon, Chris. Copied you in and out, and sorry for the distortions of those on YouTube, but yes, we now have audio back on YouTube. So, good afternoon to you, Chris, in and out. Any other 6s, please? G4 and RC, over. For an RC, let's have 5. Stations figure 5 in their call sign, please go ahead, over. For an RC, we don't have any 5s in the organisation, so let's drop down to 4s. Stations figure 4 in their call sign, please go ahead, over.
Golf 4, Hotel Uniform, Foxtrot, Phil.
G4 HUF, good afternoon, Phil. Any other 4s, please? G4 and RC, over. The 3s, stations figure 3 in their call sign, please go ahead, over.
Golf 3 Zulu Hotel X-Ray, Ian, in and out please, Greg.
Golf 3 Zulu Hotel X-Ray, good afternoon, Ian, and copied you in and out. Any other 3s, please? G4 and RC, over. For an RC, then let's go for 2s. Stations figure 2 in their call sign, and that includes you intermediate 2s. Please call now, over.
2 Echo 0, Charlie Mike Sierra, calling from Midway.
Echo 0, Charlie Mike Sierra, good afternoon, Colin, joining the list. Any other 2s, please, including intermediate 2s, G4 and RC, over. Good, so let's have 1s, stations figure 1 in their call sign, please go ahead, over. Any stations figure 1, please go ahead, over. For RC, then let's have Mike 0, stations of any regional secondary identifier, please, over.
Mike 0, Juliet Sierra Alpha Alan, East Suffolk, in and out today, please, Greg.
Juliet Sierra Alpha, good afternoon, Alan. Copied you in and out. Do we have any other Mike 0 stations of any regional secondary identifier, over? Then it's Golf 0 stations of any regional secondary identifier. Please call now, over.
Golf Whiskey 0, Juliet Lima X-Ray. Good afternoon, Greg. Name is Andy. RAYNET Brandmeister. No traffic today, so in and out, please. Over.
Golf 0, Charlie Foxtrot Bravo, Richard, East Suffolk, RAYNET, in and out. Thanks, Greg.
So I've got Golf Whiskey 0, Juliet Lima X-Ray, good afternoon Andy, copied you in and out, and Richard, Golf 0, Charlie Foxtrot Bravo, also in and out. Any other Golf 0 stations of any regional secretary identifier, please, over? C, do we have any UK stations of any call sign number that missed their turn to call in that wish to do so? Please call now, over.
Golf 4 Kilo India Lima Philip, South Sussex.
Golf 7 November Echo Hotel G7NEH.
For an RC, so I've got Philip, Golf 4 Kilo India Lima, and Graham, Golf 7 November Echo Hotel. Thank you. Do we have any of our international liaison stations on the talk groups today? Oh, another go at getting this wrong. That's the Samban Tiesten in Norway, or Aran in Ireland, or Aries in Slovakia. G4 and RC, over. G4 and RC, nothing heard. So a final call then. Any stations, UK or international, that missed their turn to call in, please do so now. G4 and RC, over.
Mike 9, Mike Juliet Romeo, Mike up in Aberdeenshire. Good afternoon, Greg. No traffic, in and out, please.
MI 0, MSO, Philip, Northern Ireland, in and out.
For an RC, so you can tell I'm logging for myself today and hope I have a little friend. So Mike 9, Mike Juliet Romeo, good afternoon Mike, got you in and out, and likewise Philip, Mike India 0, Mike Sierra Oscar. Okay, thanks everybody, that got us to a reasonable number of check-ins in the end. So Graham G7NEH is live streaming the net to YouTube today, and after a little bit of audio difficulty at the start, I think we're all resolved. So past live streams and recordings are available by searching G7NEH, that's Golf 7 November Echo Hotel, on YouTube, hitting the like and subscribe button if possible so he knows it's appreciated. There are no time constraints on nets for the next 4 weeks if things go as expected, so you can knock yourselves out with conversation fodder for the next few weeks. And that usually means I've got very little news to circulate, which is true this time. So there's an initial reminder to groups holding temporary repeater call signs in the 5 to 25 watt ERP range that many of these allocations expire in February. Emails will be coming out soon to confirm what the group's requirements are and issue new letters as appropriate. And given the information circulated about the actual usage of the Office 365 email service, the weekly news from RAYNET is now being posted to the RAYNET-UK Facebook group to ensure that national information has a better chance of making it to the members during this time of change to the email system. So that should have contained something that triggers at least one person. So we'll start with Mike, Golf 8, Echo Echo Yankee, G4 and RC.
G4 and RC from G8 DEY. Yes, weather in Norfolk, 5 centigrade, 996 millibars, 82% relative humidity, 77% cloud cover, 10 mile an hour wind from 85 degrees. Yes, I looked at the where am I? The news on the Facebook page. Yeah, it looks right from there. Yeah, the only activity I've been doing here is getting my main PC working again after the wonderful Microsoft January the 13th security update. which I understand is causing problems. It certainly ended up with all my email unavailable. Oh goody. So a quick uninstall there on that last update, and a hold on further updates until something comes out that works. So been a bit, sort of a bit of pickle here, but otherwise we're managing to cope from G8 EEY.
Golf 8 Echo Echo Yankee G for NRC returning. Okay, well, Windows updates don't afflict to me, and likewise we didn't have anything at work either to cause mischief, so interested-ish what the issues actually were. Normally Microsoft have checked everything fairly well out before they release a patch update and so on. However, we'll see if anybody else is suffering issues as well, because while we have 13 checked in, we only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 actually speaking this week. So, thanks Mike, recorded the weather as well. Phil, G4HUF, G4 and RC, over.
This is G4HUF. Threw me there. I wasn't expecting to be called in quite so quickly, but looking at the list of call signs that have called in, it's not surprising. Right, good afternoon to all on the net. As far as the weather at this location is concerned, a quick check on Manchester Airport. It shows 8 knots at 90 degrees and a temperature of +6, with a same barometric pressure as Mike's experiencing, 996, whatever they call them these days. I'm thinking hexadecimal then, but it's not that. Microhenries, isn't it? Millihenries, sorry. No, it can't be millihenries. I've forgotten what the bloody what's it is now, but what we used to know as millibars. Anyway, so that's the significant thing there. I find it quite amusing that after last week's email saying that things are staying as they are as far as emails are concerned, I've actually set up a new email account specifically for RAYNET on my home system, using my home ISP, and of course I've completely transferred everything across out of my RAYNET account literally minutes before I opened and read the revised news last Friday, which is ironic, isn't it? Anyway, not to worry, minor detail. The only other significant comment I've got to make is, as you can appreciate, Greg, I won't be listening in on checking up on your local exercise this evening, because it's our turn to feed, and so we've got the boys around here this evening, and that will keep me out of mischief entertaining them. So that's all the exciting news from this end, from G4HUF.
For HUF, G4 and RC returning. Okay, in reverse order. Yes, the exercise this evening, we'll see how it goes. We've had all the paperwork. Stephen's also asked for the paperwork for home ground, but with the idea that he could make it work for the cadets, which I'm not sure it will, but I'll send that through to him later on this evening, just to close that loop. Apologies, as we have been apologising for a couple of weeks now, but the stories we were getting and what the practicalities were just kept changing, and there was a lot of work put in by people like Jill in registrations, setting up the reduced number of free addresses we had on the Office 365 system over Christmas, like lots of other work was done over Christmas, and then things just shifted with, it's got to be this way. So, apologies, no setting out with intent to deceive. It was a, here's what's happening, and we passed the message through as fast as we'd got it from the people who were giving it to us. So yes, lots to learn, and inevitably we will. And that I think is it. I'm hoping it's going to be a good exercise tonight, but we shall see. Right, down all the way to Kent. 2 Echo Zero, Charlie Mike Sierra, down to you, Colin, G4 and RCM.
2 Echo CMS, afternoon all. Not too much to report. I was just having a little chat with Graham on the YouTube thing. He's changed to Linux, which is something I've done because I was fed up with Windows 11 doing the updates when you don't need it. All the AI stuff being forced into everything that you're doing, and spying, and apparently even taking screenshots and uploading everything to the internet, which I'm not very happy with either. So I'm quite happily playing on Linux now. Wish I'd done it before. I found alternative programs for everything I've using, including Zoom and Teams and bits and pieces like that as well. So everything appears to be running better than it was before. The computer seems to be a lot faster anyway. We've got a rest centre exercise tomorrow at the other end of the county, so I've got to get up early. So I've been updating my Starlink and the Echo Mesh units. There's firmware updates for those, and the voice over internet box of phones as well. I've had to get it out, make sure that's all working. There was also an update for the Wi-Fi bridge and the DECT base and handsets as well. And also testing radios today as well. My Yaesu FT5D wouldn't turn on, even though it was in the charger with the green light on, and it appears the battery's completely dead. But fortunately, I do have a spare, and it does appear to be working. Apart from that, I haven't got much else to add for the moment. G4 and RC 2E0 CMS.
Two Echo Zero Charlie Mike Sierra, G4 and RC returning. Okay. Yes, youngest daughter's just converted her computer from Windows to Linux, and it is seemingly more responsive. Certainly has more memory available to it now. So, yes, it can be done. There's inevitably going to be some software that will be a compromise, but that's what Wine is for. This is not a Windows emulator package, which will make things fly. Interesting, noted about this RAS sensor exercise and a number of things you found needing updates. Linux isn't immune to updates. They are getting more necessary as it gets more traction. But it's not quite as invasive as waiting till you're just wanting to leave work on a Friday night and it says, stand by, Windows 11 needs to install updates, and you're hanging around for another half hour. And I can't remember if you were on last week, Colin, about the battery appearing completely dead on your Yaesu. And it is a thought, do we, on the good old social medias, do that same German scheme that was discussed last week about Battery Friday? Certainly for the radio I'm using on this net every week, what tends to happen is I will turn on 10 minutes beforehand. If the battery is showing anything like coming off full power, I will put it straight onto charge there and then leave that battery in the charger and take the battery that was charged out of the charger and put that on. So I always have one good spare battery fully charged waiting around. But such is the way. Right. Philip, Golf 4 Kilo and Deal Lima next. Might have something to JS8 call for you, but you tell me what your week's been like. G4 KIL, G4 and RC, over.
Yeah, G4 and RC, G4 KIL. I think it's been a reasonable week. I think last week I said I got the Mac Mini running with the FT817 at the flat with JS8. I mean, that's still running fine. I'm hoping to have a suggestion to make next week. Well, I'll tell you what I think it might be. I'll have to wait till next week's final ride. I did observe once again yesterday morning a number of Surrey stations on, as do tend to be on JS8. What was interesting is that, I mean, they use a at RAYNET-UK, that's Sierra Yankee at the end, as their sort of group call, and I am thinking that possibly they send that out at about 9:30 every Saturday. I might be completely wrong. It must have been about 9:30 yesterday. I'm sure I've seen it before. And certainly, I mean, I just sent a quick message back at RAYNET-UK, sort of greetings from South Sussex, and about 5 stations responded with an ACK to it, which was rather nice. So I was just sort of thinking, if it does prove to be the case that they do it at 9:30 every Saturday, then might be other folk around the country would like to monitor for that at that time. That would be interesting as a way to sort of see, another way of seeing what propagation is happening if you've got that one coming out every week at that time. I think their message they sent out was just one indicating that it's this. I couldn't quite make it out, but it was sort of something like standard ops or something like that, which presumably means that they're just normal availability for them. So that was that one. RAYNET-UK, hopefully I'll be up for the Sunday one next week. I'm planning to, that's the 1st of February, at 2 o'clock. Hope to be up for that. And hopefully then we're living on Saturdays for the rest of this month, and of course Sunday the 1st of March, Saturdays the rest of March. Hopefully I'll be able to get up for those. That's what I'm hoping. The other thing which might help me with HF is the local radio club that had a remote controlled flex radio that swapped it for an ICOM remote controlled flex radio. I've now got the software from that. Don't quite have it working, but it should be quite close. So that will give me some other options as well if I'm not actually at home. Right, I think that's it for me for the moment. G4GX? No, that's a different net. G4NRC, G4KIL.
For NRC returning. Okay, yes, there is a side convention, I think, on JS8 call of using at RAYNET and then 2 letters, so that's why we tend to use at RAYNET-HF for sort of nationally calls. I think or thought they did that test every day, not just on a Saturday. Certainly when I was more at home I would see it happen in the morning, and you're right, it was just a let's see what's happening, is everybody's radio still turned on, which is a good test and a reminder of what happens in the Philippines, thinking of somewhere slightly more disaster prone, where they have a 7 AM net every day on voice for all their emergency communicators, just to log in, check in, and then do general stuff, but at least they know their radios are working for the day should something unfortunate happen. The one for you to check if you have the ability this evening is at 1800 local. If you listen JS8 call on 7110, you might hear Sweden doing the same thing. They are having a monthly check last Sunday of the month at 1800 on the emergency communication central activity frequency. So that's later on this evening, and I might leave my station on receive just to see what I can get, or if I can get. Okay, we finish off this round with Graham, G7NH, G4NRC, over.
G4NRC, G7NH, yeah, good afternoon Greg, good afternoon to all on the net. Apologies for the lack of audio at the beginning of the stream. So as as Colin mentioned, I've migrated most of the stuff over to Linux, and yeah, obviously just got some audio issues to sort out with OBS. So I'm actually listening on my phone today, because when I turn the monitor on to listen to the audio coming through, it seems to be very echoey on the stream. So a bit more work to do, but everything seems to be going okay. I'm using the latest version of Linux Mint, and I've got the system set up as a dual boot at the moment, and I can even get a Linux version of the client we use to connect into work, which is the Omnissa Horizon, and that works okay. So there we go. Busy, quite a busy weekend. Not much else to add really. last week's views were 47 views and 7 likes, so that was nice. In the high numbers again. So back to you, Greg. G4NRC, G7NEH.
G7 at the G4NRC returning. Okay, I suppose I should do some equivalent stats if I actually focused on the other screen I'm looking at. Our connected peer count on the RAYNET-UK DMR system was as high as I think 83 earlier, down to 80 at the moment. So that's a reasonable indication people are putting their hotspots on to test them once a week for the net, which is good because that is what we do this for. Linux Mint, good, I'm relieved. That's what I've just put on Becca's system, but we didn't use the option of dual boot. It just didn't feel like it was going to be doable, so yeah, she's now going through all the fun of trying to move things and get games going again on Linux, which can be a bit more of a challenge, but she'll get there. Right, with that, it's going to be difficult to do this without feeling like I'm getting rushed. Back to the top and Mike, Golf 8 Echo Echo Yankee, G4NRC over.
G4NRC from G8EEY. I thought I'd leave it an extra couple of seconds to give you a rest, make it feel longer. Yeah, additional information on the Microsoft update. The way they say it these days can have the following that is not entirely eliminating other things. Yeah, my problem was Microsoft Outlook. And if it's running with OneDrive, which they, of course, the Windows 11 they tend to, and you're using POP email, and your PST is stored on OneDrive, it completely kiboshes it. But not instantly, but over a period of time. Other things were affected, and I think, according to some of the web support comments, there were over 1,000 complaints in the first hour after the upgrade. And interestingly, when you look down the list of support and other web comments, one of them turned out to be purely AI written. That makes an interesting thing in modern society, doesn't it? Yeah, I'm not struck with Windows 11. I've got a remote control for our remote repeater at Wyndham, which runs on Visual Studio on the Windows 7 machine. There's no way it will work on Windows 11. I tried it and I ended up with a list of unhandled errors that probably rivaled War and Peace. So I'll have to think of another way around that one. Otherwise, yeah, well, lots of things to do, some emails to do, obviously. But thanks for running the net, Greg, and see you next week, I hope, from G8EEY.
Kate, Echo Echo Yankee, G4NRC. Yes, certainly hope so. With 4 weeks of no basketball, Lisa's looking for things. Oh, we can do this at the weekend because there's slightly more space, but there is the potential of the odd game slipping in as cup competitions progress. So, hoping we'll have 4 clear weeks of reasonable length nets, and then there'll be another few weeks of disruption to the net before we hit the summer break, and we can have something more normal again. Okay, thanks for the explanation on the Windows issue. I was actually rolling my eyes a little because I thought people were trying to deprecate the use of POP email and move everybody to IMAP. Not that I think it's a huge difference, other than how it works. I don't know why one would break more than the other, but we need an IT purist to educate me. Okay, thanks, Mike. Send threes to you. Phil, G4HUF. Right, let's see if anything else has triggered in your mind. I'll let you know what goes on with Home Grounds tonight, and maybe it's something you can play in Dane Valley, though I suspect, since you don't necessarily have SMS call-out systems, It might just be have a time and then get people talking to each other like you did on the original home ground decades ago. So we'll see how it runs. G4HUF, G4 and RC, over.
It's G4HUF. Right, yeah. Well, thanks for that, Greg. I'd appreciate the feedback, naturally. As far as call-out's concerned, yes. Nothing in place at the moment. However, having said that, I think that one logical thing would be to set up a WhatsApp group for the group and move down that route. But at the moment, priorities lay on the household. After a long pause, things are starting to come together, and as it stands at the moment, I mean, next week I'm expecting to see 5 or 6 tradesmen turn up here during the course of the week, which, if nothing else, will keep Patricia very happy, which is vitally important. But with her being licensed as well, I know that she appreciates that there are other things that need to be done as well. So I'm not going to get it in the neck for that. The only other comment I was going to make, you were talking about Battery Friday. And I thought, well, what a damn good idea. I don't know whether you've noticed on Facebook, but Cheshire Fire do something similar. They regularly put up posts, and for their system, it's Smoke Alarm Tuesday. In other words, reminding people to check their smoke alarm on a Tuesday. So Battery Friday is not a bad idea in that regard. And like everything else, it just means a little bit more discipline and get into the habit of doing it. Or at least putting reminders on your calendar to prompt you to do it. So that's definitely a positive that I should be thinking about. In the meantime, I shall say 73s to everybody who's on the net, and listen round to the end. But I need to start thinking about returning back downstairs and assisting She Who Must Be, aka G7EYR, to finish off prepping this meal for the hungry hordes that will be turning up a little later on. This is G4HUF.
G4 and RC returning. Okay, thanks for that. Yeah, I don't recall seeing that from Cheshire Fire on Facebook, but that's probably understandable. Probably happens on Twitter/X, but I try not to look there more than I have to. But yes, it's getting the reminders out, and then if something goes wrong and somebody went, the batteries are flat, well, at least you can say you were reminded. It's all part of the learning experience. Okay, enjoy the meal later and go and complete your duties. I think we might hold next week a challenge of whether you do actually see 5 or 6 tradesmen or whether or not some of them bail out at the last minute. But we'll no doubt find out more about that next Sunday. Okay, 7-3's Phil. Let's go to Colin for a final 2 Echo 0 Charlie Mike Sierra G4 and RC, over.
Yeah, from 2-0 CMS. Yeah, okay. I don't think I've got a lot more to add. I was talking about fire brigade there for a second. I was just reminded that there was a fire at one of the fire stations in Essex. I think it's Dorset, where one of the batteries for their thermal image cameras, ironically, caught light inside one of their vehicles and caused significant damage to that and the fire station, and basically it had to be completely sort of refurbished. It was out of action for I think the best part of a year after that. So yeah, battery safety as well. Yeah, I haven't got anything else to add, so I'll say 7.3 for now, and catch you next week. G4 NRC 20 CMS.
Zero Charlie Mike Sierra G4 and RC returning. There was something about as soon as he said a talk of fire service reminded you of it. It's like, which fire station catching fire would that one have been? They are rather good at it. I think there was one station went and it didn't actually have a fire alarm system in a functional state. But yes, good luck with your breast sensor exercise tomorrow, and look forward to talking to you next week. Let's go to Philip next, and then it's just one to go after that. G4KIL, G4 and RC, over.
For NRC G4KIL. Yeah, thanks, Greg. Thanks for mentioning about the Sweden one on 1800. I think you probably said that was UTC or GMT or something like that, so I assume that's what it was. Might be possible. Although I'm nominally in the building next door from where the radio is, between now and past then, I may be able to pop back to retune it back to 7110. It's still sitting monitoring 7078 at the moment, with the transmit turned off just at the moment. So yeah, I'll try and do that. Thanks for mentioning that. Colin, if you're still listening on the side, I know I said last week I'd hope to be involved with the West Kent one. You said you'd pass it on to the other Colin. Still hoping to, so if you do talk to him in the meantime, if he hasn't heard from him, tell him to give me a bell and say, "Oi, what are you doing?" I think Energy said she'd come as well, so that should be two of us, so that's good. Finally, the whole point about the confusion of the emails and so on, and although there was obviously a level of annoyance around with it, and I know that you've all been working very hard up at National trying to sort it, we're grateful for that. It is sobering, isn't it, to be reminded that we must not become too reliant on these things. And particularly sobering perhaps to remember that a fallback we might have thought of one day, which was, if all else fails, I'll phone them up. That probably won't work either if the power's off. Even more, even less resilient than it ever was, as it were. So, good old 2 meters FM is probably a good final fallback, isn't it? If it fails. Okay, that's good. Thanks for saving us the net. I'll say 73s now. I'll listen through to the end of the net. Hopefully should be up next week, both on HF and on the DMR net afterwards. G4 NRC, G4 KIL.
G4 and RC returning. Okay, yeah, that's the link. Yes, dependency on systems, no matter what it is always a problem as you get lulled into a false sense of security. It was an interesting point that came out in the pre-brief for the exercise we're doing here in West Cheshire tonight of, what would happen if there was no SMSs. Well, presumably you'd recognise that there was a problem in the county because of lack of power, comms, large black cloud over somewhere, and would go to 2 meters FM as that starting point before moving anywhere else. So yes, we do need to keep reminding people and briefing in of the fallbacks. You were correct with the time in whichever language you did it in, 1800 UTC. 1800 UTC. I did have to query the Swedes because they gave their time in local. So 7110, presuming that is the upper sideband frequency, and would probably suggest, if you're going to leave the station, not around to turn off acknowledgements, just so it's monitoring and at least providing signal reports if it hears anything from them, and it'll give them a bit of extra clue about their range. I did say we wouldn't interfere with or swamp their exercise, but it's what they're doing on a monthly basis now to do essentially what we've been doing in RAYNET for decades of just keep the gear checked on HF every week. Okay, thanks Philip. Enjoy the rest of your week, and finish off with Graham and see if you've got any comments on the YouTubes that need answering. G7 and the H, G4 and RC, over.
G4NRC, G7NEH. No, nothing much more from this end, Greg. So this week's views, if I can just get the web page up. So in total we've had 12 views, and there are 5 concurrently viewing the stream at the moment. So yeah, okay, everything went pear-shaped at the beginning, but we'll improve that for next week. I may call on you and Dave for a bit of a test during the week when I hopefully get this audio sorted out, if that's okay. So with that, thanks for doing the net, and we'll catch you next week. G4NRC, G7NEH.
G7NEH, G4NRC. Not a problem, Graham. I was having to remind myself so I could remind others, but if you keep doing things and they work, then we aren't actually learning anything. It's when you do something and push the envelope and find where it doesn't work, that's where the learning happens. So it's just another one of those days for learning exercises. This week, mostly okay, I think. Last week just seemed to be manic for meetings and things. I'm not sure where you're at with projects burn down of your remaining leave, but I'm off Monday and Friday this week. Is certainly my plan so far anyway, so if you need anything, evenings, or you've got chances on those 2 daytimes. Right, well, we'll thank everybody for taking time out of your schedules to participate this afternoon. It's been a little bit more